topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hello, welcome to Love Your Body, Love Your Life. My name is Jenna. I am the author of the book titled Love Your Body, Love Your Life, 52 Tips That Will Radically Change Your Health. You can find my book on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. And today I have an awesome guest on. Her name's Barrett Perlman. I had the pleasure of meeting Barrett a couple weeks back. I was gifted a massage, and I'm super grateful for that because we got to meet and I got to experience Barrett's work. And, you know, let me tell you, I love massages, but I had the best feeling after she left. She infuses Reiki in her massages, and she was asking me certain questions that made me reflect on my own life. So it was pretty much a healing session. And I remembered going into my kitchen after she left and making myself a cup of tea. And I literally wrote in my journal, like, I never want this feeling to end, because I was in such presence, just from the energy work and the body work that she had done in our hour session, our hour massage. And if you've ever experienced presence like that, it's the most peaceful thing that you can be in. So I'm super excited to bring her on. We're going to be talking all things how to have a love affair with life. And we're going to get to know Barrett and everything that she does. So Barrett Perlman, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jenna. Thank you so much for having me. And what a wonderful introduction. I'm so humbled to hear that you journaled about me when you were done.
I did. I was thinking about all these ways how to introduce you to the show, because I know that that's just one modality that you use, in your repertoire of things that you offer. But I literally, that night really stuck with me because the mind is always going, right? And so whenever I experience presence like I did that night, I love it. It's like there's no better feeling. And I've only experienced that after a 2-hour yoga class or, honestly, I think that's it, after a 2-hour yoga class.
Wow.
So I really was just in my body. Nothing could bother me. Can you relate to that feeling?
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad that that's what I brought to you. But for me, I get that same sort of experience after a breathwork session, after, a massive dose of mushrooms, maybe not even a massive dose, but a full mushroom ceremony. Really gets me aligned with my energy and my body. I've also had phenomenal massages from different therapists that I work with who, when I leave, I swear they've touched my soul. They've touched my mind. They touched my body too, but that was honestly kind of the least of what they did. And I can completely relate.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful to have that impact on you.
For sure. I do best work too. It's another modality. It's bioenergetic synchronization technique.
Oh yeah.
And I've experienced that feeling whenever I do that work. So, but it's different when you have a physical like somebody physically moving the energy, you know?
Yeah, because I think that's the sensation people can relate to the most is like, okay, I need a massage. And so even with massage, we're moving stuck energy through the body. We're releasing stuck emotions. Emotions can really get stuck in your ligaments and your connective tissues. Quite commonly, you'll find it in your hips. You'll find it in the shoulders. We keep a lot in our chest. So I always do a lot of work on people's sternums. It's one of my favorite parts to massage because we really hold so much there. And like, when was the last time you ever had your sternum massaged? Probably,
Yeah.
probably never.
Right.
And so through moving that with the body, then I can also integrate energy healing. And then that's just this whole extra layer of like, I can sense and feel where you need to be brought up. I can bring your frequency more up to my frequency because I send everything with love and gratitude, which are two of the highest frequencies we can vibrate at.
Yes.
And oftentimes when people find me, that's not where they're vibrating at. And so it's nice to be able to bring that and share that. And, even just from basic quantum physics, a higher frequency vibration brings up the lower frequencies around it. And so that's essentially what I do. And
yes, absolutely.
Glad you felt that.
I did. Oh, I did, Barrett. I slept like a baby and I literally felt it. So thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I'm just curious because, we really didn't talk about you so much that night. Like, how did you find this kind of work that you're so passionate about?
I think, gosh, I've been on a long journey in my life. I got my first massages probably when I was like 15 years old. So I was really fortunate that my parents started me young on that because I was pretty athletic as a kid. I was a professional wakeboarder for a long time. And so through being a pro athlete, getting a massage is a really important and integral part of everything in keeping your body functioning and at peak performance. So I probably had thousands of massages by the time I really got into massage work about 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And I used to be a television producer. And so I was coming off of doing that. I'd just done a show for MTV. And then I went and shot my own documentary. And I had this really bad snowboarding accident. And I was kind of in and out of the hospital, in and out of urgent care for 2 to 3 months. And once I finally, I got injury-induced asthma from it. So I had bruised my lungs, I had bruised my sternum, my collarbone. And as coming out of that, I got asthma from this injury. And it's a pretty weird, pretty rare thing that happens. But yeah, I was like in need of an inhaler all the time and finally got on steroids to make it stop. And I was like, I don't feel good about being on steroids. So eventually I got it under control with acupuncture. And after that, I hadn't been working for about 3 months, and I had been working for myself for like the 6 months prior to that. And I was kind of like, what do I do now? Like, I'm broke, I'm behind on rent, and I don't want to go back to work for someone else. And my best friend and neighbor across the hallway ran a massage studio. And he was like, I can put you to work for massage. Why don't you show me what you got? And I was always like, I don't know. I don't think that's right for me. But he was like, I'll pay you cash. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So he was like, show me what you've got for an hour. And I showed him what I could do. And he was like, holy shit. Most clients don't need this. You're working way too hard. Like, this is like a super sports focused massage. And he's like, I got to show you how to just do what most people come to us for. Like, most people just want to rub down. They want to feel good. They just want something light, And so he trained me because he's a certified massage therapist and trained all of his girls and put me to work within like 3 or 4 days. And so, yeah, like a very uncommon start to massage, and working for him was very awkward, but I quickly realized like I was having a really great impact on people's lives, and I liked that. And I mean, I now know that this is completely my calling. Like my calling in life is to help people heal. And so I very quickly became uber passionate about it and have studied and focused really hard on learning more and getting more massages from more people myself. And I'm always integrating other people's techniques. And I have the mentor out of Orlando who I basically got so many incredible massages from. And he still trains me every time I go home. And eventually got, into Reiki and started infusing that into my work a bit. And then also realized that, Reiki is a very specific modality, and familiar with the topics around quantum touch. And then also just the idea that it's possible to do your own thing. And so I also channel now a lot of my own stuff into it. So raising your frequency is kind of a quantum touch idea, but I'm raising your frequency and then using a strong intent to ask your body to do what I'd like it to do, which is usually to release or to relax. Or I'll get messages of things that you need to be programmed with. So sometimes I had a client the other day, and a lot of what came through was that he's worthy and to release the ties to his ex-wife and those sorts of beautiful things. So I'm sending those messages into you to help you on definitely a mind, body, spirit level.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good. It's all good. And I was just taken back because I've been doing work on myself for over 20 years. And then some of your questions were like, okay, like she's hearing something else, something else is being downloaded right now. So I thought that was really interesting because normally I'm the one that picks up on that stuff,
right. Yeah. And I think that has to do with like a lot of the work I've been doing on myself for the last 6 and 7 years. And now a lot of the work I'm helping to bring outside of being a massage therapist is like how to find happiness and how to face your fears and, just the different things that I did that now I desire to share with everyone, that if you're not asking those deep, inquisitive questions of yourself, you're not going to find the answers you're looking for.
Yeah. Can you share a couple of questions perhaps that you started to ask yourself, Barrett, to go deeper with yourself?
Oh man. Yeah, I've been in therapy since I was 8 years old. So I got started really early on a lot of that. I think common questions I ask myself include, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? Like once you start to recognize that anger is a secondary emotion. And so what is underneath anger? There's fear and there's sadness. And so if I'm responding to someone angrily, why is that? Is it because I'm hurt? And if I'm hurt, then why am I hurt? There's a great theory around going 5 layers deep on whys. And so really being honest with yourself about, okay, so why am I feeling this way? I'm feeling this way because I'm angry. Well, why am I angry? I'm angry because so-and-so hurt me. They did this thing that upset me. Well, why did that thing upset me? So now we're getting to 3 layers deep. Well, that thing upset me because I think of myself as a different person than that. And so when he said blah, blah, blah about me, I don't resonate as being that person. Well, okay, so now if I don't feel like I'm that person, then why was I upset at his opinion that I'm something different? Now you start getting to those hard questions, right? Why am I upset that someone has an opinion about me that has nothing to do with me? And that's a hard question for people to answer because, for instance, we're very ego-driven. And so now that's an ego-driven response to be upset that someone doesn't perceive you in the way that you perceive yourself. And then you can say, now, why am I having an ego-driven response? And so it's just these layers that start peeling back the onion, which is that 5 layers of why is a great tool to start digging into yourself.
I love it. I love it. I've learned to call the ego the protective personality.
Oh, I like that.
I feel like people are more apt to say that they have a protective personality versus I have an ego, you know?
Right. Or now the new term is default mode network, which sounds very completely impersonable.
I haven't heard that yet.
Oh, yeah. That's like the default mode network because it's this network that runs all of these protective systems in the body. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, that one really doesn't, I don't like saying that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are some of the questions that you ask yourself?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm in my head a lot, Barrett. So I do this energy work twice a week.
Mm.
I work with a mentor twice a week.
Oh,
Like I said, it's best. It's bioenergetic synchronization technique.
mm-hmm.
And basically, in layman's terms, what that work does is it brings your body to present time. So, just so basically, my work has been around my 5-year-old child, in my inner child.
Mm.
Because I had something traumatic happen at 5, and then it spiraled into basically me believing that I wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that's obviously it spiraled into bad relationships. I mean, even relationships with bosses and, not even romantic relationships, but, boss type people. And
Right.
so that's kind of been my path. And so I'm always having to just be mindful of my own tapes and the unconscious thoughts that come up still. I need that reflection still to this day, of perhaps you're operating from something that was programmed even when I was a teenager.
Right.
Around body image,
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, that isn't true for me and it's not working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm an exerciser and I've been an exerciser for years, but maybe perhaps that isn't working for me anymore.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like those kind of things are coming up now for me right now, where I'm at right now. But it's been, it's always an ever changing, throughout your life. So wherever somebody's at, there can be a series of questions that they can ask themselves. But I think it always goes back to the programming that you had when you were a child.
Mm.
And because as a child, you believe you believe what people tell you.
Right.
If and even to this day, if you had a continuous parent or somebody that you loved with your heart, your whole heart, tell you that you were something, eventually you're going to believe that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Even to this
Yeah.
day, that's how powerful the mind is. But imagine when you're a child and you only had these parental people telling you these things. It's in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's in there. And everything else is in there too. The trauma, the kid at school that, made fun of you, or, all of that stuff. So anyways, this is not my interview.
Of course it is. It's your show.
Yeah. So that's kind of been my work, is the inner child. And she still needs so much love. And that's a big job.
Yeah. They always need so much love. I even was doing some work. I was just recently seeing someone and I thought, that he was the one. So I was ready to finally do the last of my relationship work. And I got into something called story work with a friend of mine, where she navigates you through writing your story and then using breath work to downregulate your nervous system's response to what you've written.
Mhm.
And it was wildly powerful. And so I got to rewrite, rework out this traumatic relationship I had 14 years ago. And that I didn't even realize I was really still carrying around with me into every relationship since, with
Mhm.
just fears of abandonment. I constantly carried this fear that he was always going to be toxic. And so I showed up in a toxic response kind of way. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was like really nice to get that sort of out of the way. But I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this has been with me for 14 years.
Mhm.
And that's sort of, for me, the beauty about working on yourself is like you're just always peeling away different layers, and there's always more to do. So like
Very.
the sooner you get started, the better. But it's never too late as well. Like you can always change and improve the person that you are, and you can always heal from what's happened. It's just a matter of what tool is going to work for you. And once you start exploring what's out there and your options, then it's like you start collecting this little toolkit of,
Mhm.
okay, do I need story work for this problem, or do I need to, for me, go surfing that day? Do I need to just move my body? Do I need to connect with nature? Or do I need to meditate? Like, do I need to calm my body and re-up my frequency? Like what really is the need for today?
You know, yeah, and I love that, Barrett. Thank you for sharing, because that's another question I ask myself on the daily,
Mm,
all day.
yeah.
What do I need right now?
Mm-hmm.
And it may even just be simple as you need water.
It can be
Water,
just that simple.
but I think that people are going 20 million miles per hour
Exactly.
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they never really are in there. Like they're not in their body, they're in their head.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm guilty of that, but now I'm aware of that within myself, like just, okay, take a breath,
Right.
chill out, everything's okay. Because then you get into fight or flight, and it's causes all kinds of things in your body.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where, meditation is really great. I know a lot of people who say they really struggle with meditation, but meditation's like this cool 20-minute chunk of time that you give yourself to just say, hey, you know what? How about I not think about anything else for 20 minutes? Like, why don't
Mhm.
I do this one thing for me when everybody else wants my attention? This is my dedicated 20 minutes. Like, if you have the 20 minutes to meditate, then you have the 20 minutes to just like not think about what you have to do for dinner, or that next client that you have to call, or tomorrow that the dog has to go to the vet and how is he going to get there? And like, just commit to like that time spent is your time. You've earned it, and you're laying down or sitting down to meditate. And it's okay to take that time. And as the thoughts come up, just thank them and let them go. And that's so beautiful, as well as breath work in general, which are just different specific breathing patterns based on what type you get into. There's a lot of circular breathing going on right now, where it's like in through the nose, filling up the diaphragm and then the lungs, and then back out through the mouth, and kind of like a fully circular motion.
Mhm.
And that really triggers you to be in your body, and it triggers the stuck emotions to come out. And um, like yesterday, speaking of, what do you need today? I laid down to meditate, and I started breathing, and I was having trouble focusing. So I focused on my breath. And the next thing I know, I just spent my whole meditation sobbing. And
Oh, yeah.
and that was okay. Like, that was what was stuck in me. That was my stress level. That was
Yeah.
exactly what I needed yesterday. And then I was done, and I felt so much better.
Yeah. 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 No, absolutely. I have never had a problem allowing myself to cry.
Good.
But that's another thing I think people need to get over,
Right? God, I love crying.
I know, right? It's like so freeing, and just like, I don't know, I just feel like it moves the energy in your body, even just like,
Yeah.
I feel so much better. Okay, now I can go on with my day.
I'm no stranger to setting time aside to cry.
Oh,
Like I'll be like, "Oh, I feel it coming on." Okay, tonight I'm staying home, I'm doing me, and it's like whatever I gotta do, play sad music or watch a sappy movie or just think in my head about my thoughts and just give myself the permission to deeply sob and
mhm,
get
mhm.
it out so that you can move on.
Yeah, yeah. So, Barrett, meditation, because I love to meditate, but I go through waves of like, I'm very like adamant about getting up and meditating. And then I
Mm,
go through waves or like, it's like, I don't do it.
right.
So, what do you recommend?
Ooh, I would say as often as you can meditate, do it, but also give yourself grace for not showing up every single day. We're real people, we have real lives. And I certainly don't always show up every day to meditate. And finding that grace for that, as well as I recommend having a spot that you like to meditate,
Mhm.
maybe a special pillow or cushion. Right now, I'm using a yoga mat on the floor with a pillow and a blanket, and a guided meditation that really helps. And I think the easiest way to be into your meditation practice is when you develop it consistently and then you feel the consistent results, and then
Mhm.
it becomes like I can't miss my morning meditation, because it changes my whole day.
Yeah.
And I know for me that's the case. Like I always attach an intent to my meditation session, and so sometimes that's as simple as just allow me to show up and be of service today. Sometimes it's more complicated, like, please bring me the money I need to make everything okay this month. And I am just astounded every time at how attaching that intention to my manifestation, my meditation, it really changes my life and changes the way the world shows up for me. And so by getting at that higher frequency vibration and then going out into the world, better things happen. And boy, is that a motivation to meditate.
Yeah. I like your suggestion to do a guided meditation because I think that the mind just is too busy sometimes.
Absolutely. I'm launching a course in August, and it's 6 weeks to masterful meditation, but each week we'll be tackling a different style of meditation. So, starting with the ones that are the easiest, which are those guided meditations, there's lots of visualizations going on. It keeps you very busy. Um,
Mhm.
and that for me, I do one called source energy meditation, which
Okay.
is like a opening of all these ancient frequency symbols on the body. So you're opening crosses on the bottom of your feet and a cross through the body and across the collarbone. A cross has been an ancient symbol of high frequency, honestly, long before Christ.
Mhm.
And so doing that with halos and wings, and it's nice because there's so much guidance the whole way that the second you identify that you're thinking about something else, you can just thank it, send it on its way, and there's something else that you can come back to, whether it's bringing light up your spinal column, and the guide is, we're going vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae.
Mhm.
So those are lovely. And there's so many other different styles and things that can
Yeah.
keep you focused.
Hmm.
What kind of meditations do you like?
I just basically roll my eyes up to my third eye and
Mm,
I either say a mantra,
mhm.
like a continuously, like say it over and over again,
Yeah.
you know, or I pick one feeling that I want to have for that day. Like I want to feel peace.
Hmm.
I just want to feel peace. And then I actually locate it in my body. Like what does peace feel like? And then I locate peace
Hmm.
and I stay with that.
Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And then it also grounds me, and it reminds me that I'm just going to do love today. Like, whatever happens, I'm doing love.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it. Like that's my intention.
That's the greatest. For me, I think that if we all showed up from a place of love every day, God,
Oh,
the world would be a different
oh
place.
my God.
Like, imagine if you're ordering your coffee at Starbucks and you're looking at them and you're just like, I love you. Like, thank you for taking my order. Thank you for your showing up today. Like, thank you. I'm grateful you're here. I love that you're here. To the person who holds the door for you on your way out. Like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, I love you. Like, thank you. It would completely change all your interactions.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting because on those days when I do show up that way,
Mm.
it's like life just reflects, right? It's
Yeah.
like what we're talking about, having a love affair with life, just
Yes.
it's reflection. And then you ask yourself, like, okay, did I create that? Or, but it's like the way you show up matters.
It does. And it goes back to kind of what we were talking about in your massage, how I raise my frequency and I send love into you and I send gratitude into you. Well, when you walk around embodying love and your heart chakra is wide open and you're just radiating love everywhere, you're also bringing up the frequency of the people around you. So you are literally changing the world around you to interact with you in this higher frequency way. And
Yeah.
that is some great stuff. I mean, we're literally being alchemists.
Mm-hmm.
And alchemy is changing the chemical makeup of what's around you. And so there was that famous book, The Alchemist, where they got into like turning metals and things into gold. But a true alchemist really can take your emotions and change them into love.
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of what everybody's seeking. And yeah, it's fun to be walking around as an alchemist helping everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of my favorite things to do right now, Barrett, to be honest, is just really being present with somebody else,
Mm.
and that's another thing I really try to do is to be present when I'm responding to a text message, to be present when I'm calling somebody, to be present when I'm writing the email.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I'm not, but most of the time that is what I strive to do because energy, I think one of your quotes on your website said, everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned that years ago. Like I remember one of my mentors years ago said, even when you're writing an email, think of the energy behind that email.
Yeah.
What's the intention? Where is that email coming from?
Mm.
So like, it's funny. I'll open up. So I was dating a guy, it wasn't serious, but we went on a couple dates. And then something happened that wasn't very kind. So
Mm.
I had to let him go. And I was mad. I was mad at the response that he gave me.
Mm.
So I went to my email and I'm like, writing this long email. And, I never sent it, but I knew the energy behind it. Like it's interesting, because it's
Mhm.
like, if he would have gotten it, he would have felt that.
Right.
Even though I think people are sometimes unconscious, they still feel the energy behind the words, the email, and for me, I'm very conscious. So I feel things like that instantly. When I
Mhm.
read an email, when I read a text, I'm like, oh, okay, I know what that means. The words have nothing, you know what I mean? The words are secondary.
Yeah,
It's the feeling behind the words.
absolutely. And that's what makes writing out your story so powerful. Even just, I'm a big fan of writing someone a message and never sending it to them, especially in times of breakups or in great turmoil, because all too often, and I used to be guilty of this all the time, where I was like, they have to know. And I would send them 5 pages of text messages. And the fact was, like, they didn't usually care, where they
Yeah.
didn't need to know, or that it didn't ever help my situation. And but for me, writing it all out was the powerful part. Like, okay, now I said my piece. But it is equally as powerful to write it and not send it. And
Yeah.
boy, if you know you're not going to send it, you can really go to town on being
Yes.
completely honest.
Yes. 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 That brings up a couple things that I just heard was, morning pages,
Hmm.
just writing your thoughts out, 3 unedited pages in the morning,
Ooh,
just right when you wake up, unedited, 3 of them, 3 pages.
I like that.
And that's another thing that I used to do. I stopped doing that, but on the days that I have done that, Barrett, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
my mind, I'm like focused. I'm like, I feel great. It's a different feeling. Um,
Yeah. For me, I have been writing a book, and what it's a book on how to find happiness. And
mhm,
as I was writing, I was doing this 30-day writing program, and part of what they said, it's just free flow, let it go. And I spent 3 days writing essentially this part of that was like my history, what I thought was people needed to know about me. But I kind of just got stuck writing and writing and writing about as a kid all the way up through college. And I finally kind of emailed the mentor, and I was like, I'm like really stuck on my autobiography. Do I keep going or do I move on? And his advice was to move on for what I was trying to accomplish. But what I had written was this amazing analysis of my relationship with my mother.
mhm,
And I have a very tumultuous relationship with my mother. I'm an
mhm,
Aries, she's an Aries. If you know
mhm.
anything about astrology, you understand why that doesn't work very well.
Go ahead.
um, But I discovered through that writing that she has been my biggest antagonist my whole life. And I don't think that's a part that any mother really desires to play in their child's life, to be the one who's always going to war with them, to be the one who's put up all the roadblocks. But I was able to see through that writing that without her, I wouldn't have learned these incredibly powerful lessons that are core roots of my self belief. And in those core beliefs, I believe that I can turn any no into a yes. I believe that I can do anything I put my mind to. Um, because she used to always show up and be like, well, no, you can't do that. No, you're not going to act anymore because I don't want to drive you down there. Well, I can pick acting up later on in life. Like, okay, fine. And then I was wakeboarding, and she was like, no, I don't want you to go. If you go away to college, you can't take a car. And I'd wanted to go to school in California, and I lived in Florida at the time. So she was like, can't take a car. So I go to a school in Florida, and they have a no freshmen allowed to have a car policy. And I found the loophole where if you had an off-campus job that you'd had before you started college, you could get approval to have a car as a freshman. And so I like worked that loophole. And so it just always became about, she said no, how can I turn that into a yes? Or how can I
Mhm,
do it on my own? How can I do it without her?
mhm.
And God, that's a powerful lesson, because I
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of people show up in their lives believing that they can truly accomplish anything they put their mind to it. Just how much brain power do they want to give it? Um,
absolutely.
yeah. And so through writing that, I sort of realized, like, wow, like I don't think my mom wishes that she had to play that role. But I think it was part of her soul's purpose to show up and to play that role for me, because if she hadn't, I wouldn't be the strong woman that I am today. And I really have her to thank for that. And so now, as I continue on with my relationship with my mom, she still continues. I mean, she told me the book was a bad idea. She told me no one wants to read a book about happiness. And I was like, there's a whole self-help section in the library in the bookstore.
Mhm.
um, so now every time she tells me no, I know I'm onto something. And now it's like empowering instead of like something I feel like I need to fight with her about.
Disempowered.
Yeah, so it's given me like a whole new way to just look at her and now be like, oh my God, she's so cute. Instead of so mean, she's so cute. She has to tell me no. Like that's all she knows how to do is how to like pick apart everything about me. And she forces me to really be strongly rooted in who I am and what I do. And that's a great new perspective.
Oh, I was just Barrett, hands off, clap to you, because most people don't come from that perspective of thank you. You know what? You made me this. You made me strong. You made me, my internal strength is off the charts because of this experience or because of this person. And it's also, I love that you share, because most people, again, like I said, don't come from that space. And it's also not taking it personal. Right. It's also looking at their life and, what does she want to have that she couldn't have because of her upbringing, and it's kind of going deeper in that line of, where she comes from.
Absolutely.
And understanding her perspective too. And I'm not negating your feelings around it, but it's also a good practice to be like, I wonder what she wanted.
Right.
Why is she this way? Where was she told no?
Yeah.
Like, have you had that conversation? I'm just curious. Have you had that?
Yeah. When I was 16 years old and we were flying out to California to look at colleges, I remember I wanted to go to Pepperdine. And so after we went to Pepperdine and looked at it, Pepperdine sits on this beautiful bluff in Malibu. And my mom and I went to the park across the street and sat there and talked. And up until this point with my mom, I really didn't like her. And I was mean to her. I put my mom through hell and we just didn't get along. And so on this bluff, we're sitting there and she tells me for the first time ever that she wishes that she had gone to California and she wishes she had lived in California and that her and my dad, lived there ever so briefly. And he made her move to Florida because they were married, but she never wanted to go. And then how he took her to this tiny town, my hometown of Stuart. And, there was like nothing there. And she's a big city girl and just wanted everything California had to offer. And so she was like, I hope you go to school in California. Like that would be my dream come true for you. And that was the first time it ever occurred to me that like, oh shit, my mom had a life. My mom went through stuff. Like my mom's life might not be the way that she designed it. And maybe, just maybe, all this time my mom's been trying to do what's best for me. By telling me no, by just trying to be a good mom and give rules to a child who doesn't want to be ruled. So that was my first real breakthrough with her. And I was like, okay, wait, maybe I should tell her I love her from time to time. And like, maybe I should be kinder instead of just always showing up with anger at her.
Yeah.
So that was early on.
Yeah. And just kind of hearing where her dreams were not fulfilled.
Yeah. Cause it's hard to remember that your parents, they were kids and they have parents who did things to them or didn't do things to them or who treated them certain ways or didn't treat them certain ways, who loved them or didn't love them or hurt them or didn't hurt them. And the same way your best friends have stories and it's really powerful to dig into.
Absolutely. My grandmother, Barrett, she was mad, she grew up in a different time. Right. But she was mad. She was angry. She treated my mom and my mom's siblings not kindly. And she was nice with her grandchildren. And I remember one time she spent the night. Oh, we have 5 minutes. Oh my gosh. Anyways.
Wow. That was fast.
My story. Yeah, I know. My story is basically I did the same thing. I started probing into her life and asking her deeper questions. And she really never wanted to get married. She wanted to be a businesswoman and, be on her own. And back at
Wow.
the time, they got married young. That was what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And she was made fun of because she was like the last of, her siblings, and she was the oldest. So she was just not happy.
Mm.
So anyways, let's leave off on anything you'd like to share on, being happy and what we're talking about, being fulfilled in your life. What would you leave our audience with?
I think happiness is a choice. Happiness is a mindset. And there are so many things that you can do to be happy in your life right now without changing any of your circumstances, without making more money, getting a different job, leaving your marriage, finding a partner if you don't have one, without doing any of that. There are so many things that you can do that will bring you fulfillment and joy now. So if that's anything you'd like to explore, my website is somewhere on here and I would be happy to help. But yeah,
There it is.
make it a choice.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Barrett.
Yeah. Thank you for the interview. This was delightful.
Yeah, it does go by fast. But
So fast.
I know we could have kept talking another 50 minutes.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Awesome
you.
conversation.
Look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, stay backstage so we can say goodbye.
Okay. Deal.
We love Barrett. And check her out. This is her website, barrettperlman.com. Great conversation. I think we touched on a lot, but the one takeaway that I know is that I took from our conversation is fulfill your dreams, stay true to yourself, speak your truth, ask yourself those deeper questions so you can show up in more love and more gratitude and more happiness, more happiness. So as always, surround yourself with really good people, eat lots of fruits and vegetables, drink lots of water. And until next time, my name is Jenna. Love your body and love your life. Take care.